Hi, this is Rhett with TestingTheory.com, and today I want to talk to you about the essential skills that you need as an A/B tester to succeed. If you're optimizing experiences doing A/B testing and multivariate testing, what skills do you need to be successful? If you're looking to uplevel your skills, if you're looking to succeed in this industry, or if you're just exploring this as a career option for you, this will help you know what skills you need to be successful. Today we'll talk about what skills you need, what skills you don't need, and also the skills you need with regards to other people in the relationships you'll deal with as you do A/B testing. Okay, let's talk about the skills you need first. The first skill that the most successful A/B testers employ is strategic thinking. You have to know how to think like a business person, like a strategy person in order to succeed. You have to know how to create good testing strategies. You have to know how to isolate variables. You have to know how to take your client's business questions and business requirements and translate them into good testing plans. The strategy and the strategic thinking of good A/B testers empowers them to do more, and that skill of thinking strategically is essential and is number one. The second skill that you need to have is you need to be a master of data and a master of analytics. You need to be able to understand, interpret the data, and also make sense of the data. When you have large data sets, you need to be able to take that, apply meaning to it, understand what the data is telling you about the variations you're testing. You need to be able to take the data and you need to segment, you need to slice and dice it, you need to use multiple metrics, and you need to know what all that means. And that's why being a master of data and analytics is an essential skill that you'll have to be successful doing A/B testing and multivariate testing. The third essential skill that you have is to be organized. Now this may sound cliche or generic, but the reality is when you're running 50 tests a month and each of those tests have between 2 to 5 variations, and you have each test moving through different phases of the testing lifecycle. Some are in development, some are with your creative team, some are with the project management team being scoped out, some might be with the client and you're developing the testing plan, some might be in QA, some might be ready for test results interpretation. All these phases of the testing cycle augment or magnify the amount of things you have to keep track of when you're running many tests per month. So being organized is an essential skill so that you make sure that you don't let these tests slip through the cracks and you're continually providing value for the organization that you work with. The fourth essential skill is to be dynamic and versatile. And the reason for this is kind of what we just talked about. You've got so many things going on, so many people you're working with, and so many things moving through the process. You have to be able to switch gears from task to task constantly throughout the day. And you have to be able to use your time to accomplish the most important tasks. And so being dynamic in the way you use your time and the ability to think and change quickly is essential to be able to get all these things done all at once. The fifth skill you need to have is you need to have a broad knowledge base of some essential disciplines. You're going to be working with product managers creating products. You're going to be working with designers who are making experiences. You're going to be working with developers who are writing code and a QA team who's having you check code. You're going to be working with project management to have things go through the process. You're working with all these different disciplines, and to be successful with A/B testing, you have to know how to interact with each of them at the level that they can understand you and you can understand them. And so you have to have broad knowledge of these different disciplines so that you can communicate clearly with these different disciplines. The sixth essential skill that you have to have is self-awareness. And what I mean by this is you are constantly dealing with testing to prove things with data. But the challenge that we run into is if you let your own biases and your own assumptions give precedence over the data, then you have the potential to sway the results, to ruin the impact of the data, and to make things worse rather than make things better. And so that self-awareness of knowing your own biases, your own logical fallacies that you may be giving place to, those are the types of things that will make you or break you in terms of testing success. And the best testers out there are self-aware enough to know when they're being biased and to let go of those biases and move forward with letting the data guide them. The seventh critical skill is a level of confidence. And this is important because you'll constantly have managers or clients or peers or people trying to get you to do certain things for certain reasons. And as a steward of the data, as a steward of research and optimization, you have to be confident enough in the data, in your abilities to not be a pushover essentially with every person or every manager that wants to do things their way. And so that level of confidence is an essential skill so that you're able to influence the organization to make the right choices. Now, speaking of skills you need, there are probably many more things you need to know, but you'll notice that very few of these skills that I mentioned are things you need to go out and learn. They're not tactical skills. They're things that about who you are as a person, about your ability to influence, to lead, to understand, to be strategic. And that is what makes a good A/B tester. It's not about like pushing numbers or crunching numbers or just interpreting results. It's about taking the full picture of optimization and dispersing it throughout the organization because you have the skill set to interact at every level needed. Okay, now I want to take a few minutes to talk about the skills you don't need. And this list is small and on purpose. I'm just going to talk about the ones that maybe are misconceptions in the industry, like people think you need to have this, but there's lots of things you don't need, right? But we'll talk about ones that actually matter in terms of what people think you need that you actually don't need. The first thing that you don't need is advanced statistical knowledge. You'll need to use statistics and understand the general concept of it, but anyone telling you that you have to be a statistician to do A/B testing, to do multivariate testing, doesn't understand that there are already statistics baked into these tools. And if you're interpreting results solely with the statistics alone, then you're likely not giving the full picture of understanding to your test results and probably interpreting your results wrong anyway. I have another video that talks about how you should interpret your test results and the role that statistics plays in that. It's one of the 4 things you need to have, and it's the least important thing, and it's the last thing to look at. There are 3 other things that you need to look at before you get to the statistics, the confidence. So make sure you'll check out that video on interpreting results. But you don't need deep statistical knowledge to do A/B testing, even though there's many people who profess to be statisticians who think that you can't do it otherwise. That's just not the case. The second skill set you don't need is deep expertise in these surrounding disciplines. For example, you don't need to be a UX designer and have deep knowledge in UX to be a good A/B tester. You don't have to be a developer to be a good A/B tester. You don't have to be a product manager to be a good A/B tester. You don't need very deep knowledge in the disciplines of the people you work with. That's a misnomer. You might see people who get into A/B testing from development or from design or from product or client management. But it's a misnomer to think you have to have deep expertise in any of those disciplines to be good at A/B testing. The last skill that I want to talk about that you don't need is deep knowledge of the tool. Now this I need to clarify, because you do need to know how to use the tool, but most companies hire people because they know the tool. Oh, you know how to use Adobe Target? Well, I'm going to hire you. Or you know how to use Optimizely? We use Optimizely. We're going to hire you. The last thing that you need to be successful is the tool. And so if I can get a person that has these skills I mentioned before, the things you do need, the strategic thinking, and they know how to use data, and they know how to be self-aware, like if I can get someone who has all those intrinsic skills, I can teach them the tool very easily. But most people fall into the trap of thinking they need to know the tool, and most companies hire thinking they need someone who knows the tool. And again, while it's important to know how to use the tool, learning the tool is one of the easiest things to do. Learning the skills of success is one of the hardest things to do. So the last skill I want to talk about that you don't need is deep knowledge of the tool. You will need to learn the tool, but you don't need to have the tool and knowledge of the tool to determine your success beforehand. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is the skills you need with people. With any job out there, with any work that you're doing as a professional, you will need to interact with people on a daily basis. And there are certain skills you'll need as an A/B tester to influence the organization, the clients you work with, to help them see the value of testing. So I want to run through these skills really quickly of the people skills you'll need to be successful. The first thing you'll need to be is a master negotiator. Everything that we do as professionals involves communication, and most of that communication is some sort of negotiation. You need to understand that people are paying a lot of money for these tools, for your services, for the teams that are doing the work. And so you need to be able to negotiate to help them see the value of the work you're doing. And so negotiation as part of communication is just something that's essential in most of the work that we do. The second people skill that you'll need is a teaching skill. As you get deep into the discipline of A/B testing, you'll realize there's so much more to learn. And because you'll know the depth of this discipline, you'll need to teach those things to the people you work with. And so if you're going to be successful, you'll be constantly teaching about A/B testing, about the discipline, about how to do it correctly, about the strategy. And as you become master teacher, you'll then be able to help them see the value of what you're doing and create more buy-in to do optimization with the organization or clients you work with. The third essential people skill that you'll need is just collaboration. Again, as you're working with people, this is similar to negotiation, but with collaboration, you need to build consensus. You need to get people's ideas. You need to create buy-in to the variations you're testing. You need a team, a cross-functional team to make this type of testing work. And so collaboration is an important people skill set that you'll need to be successful with A/B testing, multivariate testing, and that kind of collaboration will allow you to do more and better tests. The next people skill that you'll need is just leadership. Everything we do as professionals involves some kind of leadership. And when you're leading a company or leading a client or leading a team or leading an organization to do something, you'll have to lead out in ways using good leadership skills. I don't want to spend too much time on that. There's a ton of stuff about leadership skills. But of course, to be successful, you will need to be a leader in this regard. Finally, the last important people skill I want to mention is being an influencer. As you try to help people be data-driven, to change a culture to be one of optimization, you have to influence people to make good decisions. And so that kind of influence with people, similar to negotiation and leadership and communication, all these things go hand in hand. But as you're influencing people to make the right decisions, you will then have that skill to help them do better testing and get better results with their testing. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this review of skills you need and skills you don't need is helpful. Remember that everything's about the people and the people we work with. And so first and foremost, be nice. Be a good person to work with. Be someone who people can trust. And as you're just a good person, then you can allow the skill sets you have to help you be successful and build up the people around you. So remember the skills you don't need. They're the things that people think you need, but you actually don't in this industry. And focus on the skills you do need that will help you be successful. Again, thanks for joining me. Testingtheory.com is where people come to do better testing and get more conversions.